Hello everybody, I am Fedora Gamer, and welcome to an episode of Incoming Indie. It's been a little while since I've got an episode of this out because I'm failing at getting videos out. But anyway, today we are looking at Lenna's Inception, which is by Tom Coxon. It is a procedurally generated action-adventure game, would be a good way to describe it. How I would describe it is Zelda. It has very strong Zelda influence with a bit of modern roguelite thrown in there. It's pretty interesting. On a side note, Tom Coxon, the developer of this game, will be a guest on the Randomly Generated podcast this coming Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, so you should check that out. We'll be playing this some more and talking with the developer. But let's get into it. First off, it has this pretty cool little launcher here, which it shows you tweets from challenge scores, because there's a tweet your challenge score functionality in the game. Also, you can jump over and look at the developer's tweets, which he retweets a lot of other indie games, and that looks pretty cool. I'm going to have to look into that game. That has some amazing pixel art. And we got the live beta updates, which the shop was just added. It's a pretty spiffy launcher, really. Also, yeah, shop was just added. This is, of course, as any game in this series, in development, is currently in beta stage 2. It is on itch.io for $3.99, $2.99 European, some sort of foreign money. It's just over $5 USD. But let's go ahead and look around here. We do have these challenges. At double speed, I am error, which is definitely a reference to Zelda. No sword, you only have a bow, which I think would be easier. Some of these are crazy, like no heart challenge. It says permadeath, and one hit you're dead. There's a 3 heart challenge where you only get 3 hearts through the whole thing. But this isn't the entire game. It's all 8 dungeons right in a row, which you'd have to know the bosses very well to beat that. Same with these. So these are interesting challenges. Let's go ahead and go into the normal mode here. We'll start a new game. We'll, of course, name myself here. And your world name, which is the seed. This is procedurally generated. And then you can turn permadeath on or off to make it even more like a roguelike. Honestly, I'd recommend having off until after you've gone through the game once and learned the bosses. Permadeath without knowing the bosses is just suicide. Or if you're just really manly. But, let's go ahead and start here. And we get a little bit taste of the story here. Lenna is a school teacher. Some death-looking thing that causes glitches comes and splats all of her students. Well, that's a story. Story isn't fully implemented. This is still in early development. There's some areas that don't exist yet. We have to get to the palace, but the palace actually isn't in the game yet, which Lenna points out. So we go find the old man from the library. Yes. I'm using gamepad. This is the type of game that I just really want to use a gamepad. It does have it does have keyboard controls, no mouse controls, or gamepad controls, which you can customize in the options. Oh, and an item just dropped out of the sky. The explanation on that is there's a chance when you clear a screen of enemies, an item will appear, but the screen had no enemies to begin with. Let's go ahead and go get our wooden sword here. A stick with a sharp edge. We can have 3 active items on at one time, and as you can definitely see, this has strong Zelda vibe. Yes, press C to continue. Okay, there's the shop over there. Let's come over here and get this whistle, which summons pets, but I don't have any pets at this point in the game. So this game is completely procedurally generated. The overworld is new every time you start a game. Yes, please stop tutorializing. Let's talk about procedural generation a little bit here. There are 2 main types of procedural generation in games. There is the old school roguelikes, like the true roguelikes, which were tile-based and completely procedurally generated, which has this plus side of extreme replayability. No, I don't want it in there. What? Can I? This is not the... What is this? Okay, yeah, this I found this earlier when the door is actually open on a different game where you can actually see the developers in NPC form. Anyway, but every tile is procedurally generated and has extremely playability, but does tend to make not very interesting levels. It was a 2D top-down game, so there wasn't a whole lot to be that interesting. But lots of dead ends and annoying level designs could come out of that. We got some bats here. Then there's the newer roguelites use a different kind of procedural generation where each room, or chunks of level actually, depending on which one you're talking about, are handcrafted ahead of time by the developers. Then those are stitched together by the random generation kind of engine thing. The disadvantage to that is there is a little bit less to the extremely playability. You know, you'll start seeing rooms over again, even though they can vary and have different enemy layouts in the rooms. In games such as Tower of Guns, there's different enemy layouts, and the item drops are randomized differently. But the plus side of this, you can end up with much more interesting level design. Oh man, this slime is kicking my ass. Much more interesting level design. It's, has that handcrafted feel that you get from, oh come on. Oh hey, yes, we can grab stuff with the sword, and I can kill you through the wall. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's look at the map. This one, I believe, is the later kind of procedural generation, where each of these maps, screens, rooms, whatever you want to call them, is been handcrafted, but they stitch together randomly. All your dungeons end up in different places. I don't know where the... Let's look at the bigger map here. Shift over. Tab. There we go. Okay. I think I need to go down towards the blinking skull. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe that's skulls are dungeons, though. I need to find the library first. The shop is usually supposed to be near the library. No, I want that on. Thank you. Okay, let's get out of the menus here. But anyway, the levels are handcrafted, but they stitch together differently. I believe that's how this one works. I'm not entirely sure because I haven't played a ton of it yet, so I'm not sure if I've been seeing repeat levels. But it's the method I prefer because it tends to have much more interesting level design. Now, what makes... We have a bag of pennies up there. What makes this game especially interesting is it has a lot of item gating, like in the original Zelda games. Where, like, those bushes, I have to get the iron sword before I can cut through the bushes. And the item gating has to prevent you from being able to get to the next dungeon. So procedural generation, while keeping coherent item gating intact without screwing up and making the game impossible or there being a mistake for you to be able to get to a dungeon before you're supposed to be able to, is actually quite an impressive feat. Okay, there's way too many freaking bats around here. Why is there so many bats? They're easy to kill, easy enough to kill most of the time, but I'm trying to just find the freaking library. Okay. I don't have enough to buy anything from the shop, but let's go ahead and go check out the shop, because I haven't seen the shop yet. But yeah, there's the grass, there's water, item gating. You can get a tunic in the second dungeon that lets you swim through water. And we can heal. Alright. A book, which is you bring books to the library. Family heirloom, which this increases your health. Bicycle and a sweaty shirt don't do anything yet, as far as I know. A sweaty shirt doesn't. I don't think the bicycle does yet either. Where the hell is the library? Well, let's just go towards the blinking skull. Wait, actually, I know how to find it. I'm forgetting here. We need to go to the journal. It's right over there. Right below where I started. Well, I went the absolute wrong direction, but hey, that's the joy of this procedurally generated world. But yeah, I'm really impressed by the fact that it's procedurally generated, yet uses item gating and keeps it intact, and I'm about half dead already. The game actually gets a whole lot easier after you beat the first dungeon, so you can get hearts from chopping down the grass. So let's go down one to find the library. The sword attacks here, you actually have two methods. You can hold it and go stabby stabby. Oh, well, that didn't work. He moved. Ow. Freaking... Yes, give me that heart. I could... Oh, no, I'm full on hearts now. That's good. Well, it's one... One over to the right, or left, excuse me. I know my right from left most of the time. That's where I started. Okay, there's the library. Wow, that was easy. And this is the librarian that wants books, which we can gather around the world, bring back for some rewards. Basic story premise is that that evil thing that killed the students is an archangel, which there's several of them have come to Earth. It's the end of days. The prophecy says the legendary hero will gather 8 artifacts and save the world, but the legendary hero got splatted on the castle steps before he even started looking for them. So you, the lowly teacher, takes a wood sword in hand and goes and starts collecting the artifacts. Pretty funny that the hero just failed immediately. And this is pretty much giving the recap of that story. You don't see that whole palace thing yet because that has not been put in the game. So back on the topic of the random generalization, or the procedural generalization, however you want to term it, it's not fully randomized by the fact that it has to keep item gating intact, and certain areas need to be certain distances from each other or within a certain error range. You know, like the library here is usually fairly close to your starting point. It's not going to be on the very far side of the map. But again, item gating in procedurally generated world is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and now we can hit to the first dungeon, which is down and to the right. Well, at least it's not bats. Actually, I have more trouble with the slimes half the time. They do like to jump sometimes. The wood sword is pretty terrible. It's so weak. Okay. There's no experience or RPG mechanics like that. There's no leveling up. It's fully item based for progression. So most of the time it seems like there's no point in clearing each screen. But then again, an item can appear when you clear a screen. Oh, it's not cleared yet. Bloody jumping nonsense. And there's a book up there that fell, but in a place that I can't get to. Okay, first dungeon. Let's go ahead and complete a dungeon. This seems bad. Falling off into water without the tunic, off into pits, just spawns you back at the beginning of the screen with some damage taken. But still not a good idea. Now, the dungeons, I believe, are generated the same way. They have pre-constructed rooms that stitch together randomly. Yeah, it does have item gating in it, because the item that you get in the dungeon that lets you progress further into the open world usually is required to get to the boss as well, or probably always is. And a little bit of block pushing puzzles, as you'd expect from anything that takes inspiration from Zelda. We can go ahead. Well, I don't have any map info, because you can get a dungeon map. Hopefully Hey, there's the sword. Oh god. Bad slime. Give me that sword. There we go. Now this can slash bushes. Here, let's do the pokey pokey attack. It's actually rather effective. You are stuck facing the direction you choose when you start that, though. I can't turn. And there's actually another important item in this first dungeon, which I believe is the shield. Yep, I can cut grass now. Which gives me a lot of easy hearts. Hey, there's a slime. Each dungeon does have a boss. Ah, there's the shield. Which is very much needed for fighting this coming up boss here. Thank you for the hearts. I guess since it's just a slime left, I may as well kill it. I still haven't found the dungeon map, but... Okay, there's the boss room, but that requires a key. Just die. Thank you. There's the dungeon map. I can't slice those boxes, but I believe it's another item for item gating. There you do find them on the overworld as well, so I think later a higher sword version will break the boxes and let you through that. There's also pots, which I believe works about the same way. The item gating is pretty linear and straightforward and not all that interesting, but it's done well, and again, I've never seen it before in a procedurally generated game. Okay. The key is over here. Now I can see where items are on the map here. Get some extra money. Well, there's only one slime, so I may as well kill it. And here's the key. This thing's interesting. You can get trapped on that rock there by going like that. Now it's trapped on the rock. I haven't mentioned yet that this was picked up by Chucklefish. They are publishing it now. Which, if you don't know who Chucklefish are, they're the developers of Starbound. They also published Risk of Rain and a couple other really good indie games. They're very selective about who they pick up to help with publishing. They only pick up what they feel are really cool and really fun indie games, and they picked this up, which is great. Oh god. Though, this boss is much harder than the bosses are randomized then. I have the kitty in the first boss. You play baseball with the fireballs. Each one of these bosses are an archangel, supposedly. I don't know why there's a kitty archangel, but... Okay, usually I can... Seems... Let's get closer. There we go. Just need to get a little bit closer. It's learning the bosses, how they work. Oh god, that means it's gonna charge me now. This is bad. Oh god, it's gonna charge me. Fireball. There we go. A couple more hits should be good. Well, that went not in the direction I expected it whatsoever. There we go. This took me several deaths to figure out how to fight this boss. I was trying to block the fireballs with the shield. That doesn't do anything. Okay, boss taken care of. We get an Archangel Heart, which increases our max HP. So, which boss is in which dungeon seems to be randomized as well. And now we get an artifact, which is randomized too. I don't believe the artifacts do anything until maybe after you collect all 8. Kind of thing, because they just sit in your inventory in a slot, you can't select them. You are supposed to bring them back to the guy at the library. I haven't actually bothered doing that, because you can just move on right on to the next dungeon if you want to. Oh, now we have ice blocks. I've never seen these before, so... More item gating, most likely. Those rocks, which I believe you'll eventually get something that can get through those as well. So, yeah, you can see the item gating is a large theme in this game. Whether that's a good or a bad thing is purely subjective. I am fine with it, and again, I find it pretty cool in a procedurally generated game. I'm just wandering around at this point. And yeah, it's pretty much a Zelda homage, and the developer definitely doesn't try to hide the fact that it is very strongly influenced by Zelda, and I am fine with that. The original NES Zelda is probably one of the first games I played, and I played that game so much. At least this has an overworld map, unlike that one. Let's get out of that. Wrong button. Here we go. Just, yeah, and optional permadeath. When I will definitely be playing it with permadeath on, but probably after I've beat it once without. Oh god. What are you? Ah, I'm on fire! Those are some nasty things. I've never seen them before either. This world generation seems a little nastier than my last one. Oh, hey, there's a slime there. I'll just give it a hug. It's alright. There are a heck of a lot of items, you know. I only have the very basic stuff so far, but I'm sure you can expect, you know, I do know for a fact that there is a bow, there might be boomerang, bombs, all that kind of stuff. I highly recommend this game. And again, the developer will be on the Randomly Generated podcast this coming Saturday. So come hang out with us live or watch the VOD once it goes up on my channel. This is available for just over $5 USD on itch.io. I will have the link to that in the description. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.